What's going on, guys? Welcome back to today's video. So as some of you may know, YouTube does this really cool thing where they give a YouTube play button, which is basically a trophy, a plaque that they send out to creators like myself when they hit certain subscriber milestones. Now currently, this only begins when a creator hits 100,000 subscribers. But I was not going to let that stop me from celebrating the fact that I just hit 10,000 subscribers on my own channel. Thank you guys very much for helping me get to that point. So, in today's video, I am going to be showing you guys the process that I took in order to make my very own 10,000 subscriber YouTube play button by myself. Quick glance at how it looks. I'm going to show you guys how I made this. Enjoy the video. So kicking things off, I'm going to be using this wooden canvas. This was about 10 bucks from Target, but you could also find this at any Joann Fabrics or craft store. I'm going to be using stencil lettering for my tracing because my handwriting is not that great. And for the actual engraving, I picked this product off of Amazon. It was like 20 or so bucks. I'll leave it down linked below. For the YouTube play button, it was very straightforward. I just Google imaged YouTube play button symbol, downloaded this, and printed it off. I'm going to be tracing this onto the wooden canvas so I can make sure that everything is accurate. You can use a pen or a pencil to trace this onto the wooden canvas. I'm going with a pen since I didn't have a pencil handy, but keep in mind you're going to be burning, your engraving into the wooden canvas, so using a pencil isn't exactly necessary. I'm going to be taking this, placing it on the wooden canvas, and then taking a tape measure, making some marks around it just to make sure that I'm having everything correctly centered. The last thing you would want to do is not take this step and then realize at the very end that everything is a little crooked or a little off-centered. I think I already mentioned this as well, but I'm using a pen to do my tracing. Using a pencil is not necessary, guys, because you're going to be, using the burning tool over the top of it, so you're not going to be seeing whatever type of thing you're using to be making your trace mark. Now for the lettering and the numbering portion, because you're going to be using a bunch of individual ones that are running the width of the canvas, I measured off on either side and created a tally mark and then put a piece of tape running across. That way I could just use the bottom of the stencil lettering to kind of sit on top of that barrier, ensuring that as I went across from left to right, everything was going to be remaining even. As far as knowing exactly how much space to put in between the letters and the numbers, once I made sure that they were going to be evenly situated going right to left across, I kind of just did an eyeball test. I made sure that the first and the last letter or number were going to be the same distance away from the edge of the canvas, but as far as how much space, the space in between each individual letter and number, it was a bit of an eyeball test. The stencils that you can see here turned out fantastic. These things were like $3 or $4 from Target, same place as I got the wooden canvas. Would highly recommend these. The lettering turned out, or the numbering rather, on this turned out fantastic, as you can see right there. And here's the finished product with all of the numbers going across the bottom. Obviously on top of the YouTube play button is where the name of the channel, which will be Andrew Does Life, as you can see right here. I used the tape to create the column and the border to make sure that everything was even, but as far as the distance between the letters, I did not do any sort of exact science with that. I would highly recommend using the tape barrier border like I did. It made everything turn out very even, made it look very clean cut, and about as professional as you're going to be able to get, especially if you're DIYing this and this is your first time ever trying something like this. Okay guys, so all the prep work is done. We're going to be doing the burning drawing process out here in the garage. This is our tool. The tool will be linked below. It's got a couple different tips on it. I'm actually going to take off this fine point tip and I'm going to put a rounded edge on it because I think that will do better with drawing on here. So here's what everything looks like now. Keep in mind, guys, I have zero experience with anything that we're doing. Everything that you're seeing in this video right now, we are figuring it out as we go. Everything that we're doing for the very first time. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this turns out okay. Truthfully, this process was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Not that I, did it perfectly or am really good at it, but it was a lot more straightforward than I thought it was going to be. There are a lot of really good videos out there on pyrography, which I believe is the, process of wood burning that I'm doing right now. You really are just using a very hot piece of metal, and you are tracing the outlines that you have already created, and it is burning or drawing that design into the piece of wood. A couple of things that I learned, as you guys are seeing right here, if you leave the hot piece of metal on the wood for too long, it will create a deep burn, and around the burn marks it will sort of like turn this yellowish stained color, which is what is going to give it that uneven look to it, because there will be heavier burn marks on some of the parts where you're drawing and some where you're not. As you can see, those sort of like gaps where the zeros are, you can see that there's that yellow discoloration around there, and that is because I was moving the pencil too slowly while trying to achieve, the burn mark that I was doing. I will mention this right off the bat too. I think you can sort of see it on the edge in some of these shots, but I am wearing a mask. These types of woods that respond very well to being burned and colored on, when they do burn, the wood, the smoke rather that comes out of this can be toxic and poisonous. So certainly, if you are going to be trying this out at home for yourself, definitely be wearing a mask. But this process was really straightforward, guys. You trace it out, and then you use the hot metal tip to go over your traces. I think the most difficult part was getting the feel for how slowly to move, the tip of the hot metal part without, creating those yellow discoloration marks around where you were tracing out. But I had a ton of fun doing this. It's brand new to me. I've never done anything like it before, and I had a blast doing it. I'm definitely going to be trying out some more things, along these lines going forward. I understand that there's some different types of tips and different type of patterns and whatnot that you can get instead of just this fine point one that I'm using right now. But man, I tell you what, this is definitely something that I can see myself practicing, getting better at, and doing a lot more of going forward. Okay, so the last little bit of the drawing has been completed. There's still going to be color added to it, but I'll give you guys an update right now of what it looks like. So, I think it doesn't look bad for somebody's first attempt. There's definitely spots that are heavier than others, and I'll probably be going back and trying to, I just realized the zeros. Actually, no, the zeros are all in the same area. But yeah, some spots are a little bit heavier than others, so I might go back in and try and clean that up a little bit. But I'm going to be adding some color to it. The play button in the middle is going to be red, and then after I've gotten that color in it, I'll go over it with probably like a clear lacquer spray finish or something like that, and then we'll show you guys the finished product. Okay guys, so here is the final finished product right here. It's certainly not perfect, but it's something that I made myself. This is my very first time ever doing something like this, and I'm pretty proud of the way that this turns out. I'm definitely going to be hanging it somewhere around that general area right here. I still am going to be putting a clear lacquer finish over the top of this, but I think that this is still a pretty accurate representation of what the final product is going to look like. So I'll give you guys a couple more shots of it. Super inexpensive, super easy, like I've said a million times in this video already. This is the very first time I've ever done something like this, and it was as simple as tracing onto here what you were going to be, wanting pattern-wise, and then taking that little hot pencil burn tool thing and coloring over the top of the tracer marks. Very easy. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more projects like this. Let me know down below if there's anything that you guys want to see specifically from this. I'm going to be doing a lot more woodworking, craftsman type projects on this channel going forward, which I'm really excited about. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Thank you guys also for helping me even get to this point. I think that this thing looks so cool. I had the idea for this when I was getting close to 10,000 subscribers, and I'm really good that I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it. Overall, this project probably took me about 3-ish hours to complete the entire thing. Obviously, it would have gone a lot faster if I wasn't trying to film the entire process. So it's easy, inexpensive, and doesn't really take that much time. Obviously, if I took a little bit more time, some of the lines might have been a little bit cleaner. But like I said, my very first time ever doing this, and I'm pretty proud of the way that it turned out. So thank you guys so much.